Ladies and gentlemen, we're back, and I'm fired up once again. It's game day, week one. Welcome, everybody, to the FootballScoop Podcast. Scott Roussel, joined by college football experts Zach Barnett, John Brice. For those of you who are watching on YouTube or anywhere else, you can see this video. John Brice has disgraced himself by wearing a Dirty Birds shirt.
Disgraced? Come on now. Jamal Anderson is going to come in and do a dance on our podcast just for you. For the Dirty Birds reference. I told you at least once a week I'm going with a different random shirt as long as possible. I almost rocked a Mac theme today, but it will come out soon enough.
You lost a bet, huh?
There's some fine people in the Midwest.
I got nothing against the Mac. I'm talking about the Dirty Birds. Goodness gracious, son. Buddy, I don't even know what it would take to get me in an Atlanta Falcons shirt.
This is in honor of Deion. He's one of our favorite subjects on the site.
I'll tell you, there is massive appeal in Deion Sanders, both from administrators, from fans, from coaches. You know, there's the old guard of coaches who are like, Deion's not what we are all about. There's a lot of people who have come around to say, hey, this is where the world is. This is where players are. It's working. It's resonating. The biggest of the big athletic directors, the biggest of the big NFL owners are saying, no, this is what we're interested in. So there is a lot of appeal in Deion Sanders. I get that. And for that nod alone, I will accept the Dirty Bird t-shirt on this podcast.
See, quick on my feet, able to adjust on the fly, and convincing. And I'm a good recruiter. Like a few college coaches have told me who have met my lovely wife, Jessica, I'm a good recruiter. Aren't we all?
Agreed. All right. Gentlemen, it is college football week one, Thursday night games. My wife doesn't understand how lit my house is going to be tonight. It's going to be rocking. There will be multi-screens. I'm very, very excited. Zach, I know you live for this stuff. Tell me about your level of joy for today, for this whole weekend.
I mean, we've got so youth football practices tonight, and then I will be racing home to catch this West Virginia Pitt game. I really can't wait for this game. It's 11 years since these teams have played. Heinz Field is going to be packed, and it might be packed with West Virginia fans. Like, I can't wait to watch JT Daniels. The USC connections in the West Virginia Pitt game are really indicative of modern college football. You've got two former USC quarterbacks playing West Virginia Pitt. You've got a former USC coordinator who the 3 years he was there, Kedon Slovis was Graham Harrell's quarterback for the most part, and now he's coaching against him. I'm really interested to see JT Daniels. He's a guy that came in from one of those power programs in California, won the job as a true freshman, reclassified to enroll in 2018, won the job as a true freshman, and then was just kind of meh. I mean, he was a true freshman. He got hurt in 19. Slovis took over and won the job from then on. Obviously, he transferred to Georgia, couldn't beat out Stetson Bennett. So I'm really excited to see if JT Daniels, what he's got, if he's anything more than just an average quarterback, if reuniting with Graham Harrell ignites his career. I know you asked about the whole weekend, but I'm really excited for this game.
I would agree with Zach. I have, especially when I lived in East Tennessee, used to go to a lot of major league games in Pittsburgh, and we would always drive. And so we got to go through Morgantown on into Pittsburgh, and I developed a much greater appreciation for the geography that feeds directly into that rivalry. So I love that element of it. Zach, you made great points. Also, both programs breaking in new offensive coordinators tonight, which I think is very significant. And Pittsburgh might have one of the toughest openings to the season for any team in college football. And it's a good thing they're the defending ACC champs. We got West Virginia tonight. They host Tennessee next weekend. Both those teams have top 25, or all three of those teams have season-long top 25 aspirations, a lot on the line for various reasons for all three of those programs. So I'm super excited for this game tonight as well. I know there were some other good matchups tonight, but this West Virginia-Pittsburgh game is really, really intense. And you're talking about the West Virginia trying to rediscover the glory days of its offense against a Pitt program that is built steadfastly on the defense of Pat Narduzzi and Corey Sanders and all of those guys. So it's exciting.
I suspect you're going to see two very well-coached teams who have no love lost for each other. They are going to lay it on the line. I think Neil Brown's team is going to be way more up for this game than people expect. I think Pitt – we're going to publish our picks later today. I think you're going to see – you're going to see I pick Pitt. I think Pitt wins the game. I think Neil Brown's team gives them way more than they want. But it's just me. All right, I'm going to walk us through Thursday night because it's a glorious night. We don't need to talk forever about all of these, but some of these we got to dive into. Joe Moorhead opens. It's against St. Francis. It's at home. But it's the first time we get to see what Joe Moorhead is trying to build at Akron. Anybody excited for this one?
It's college football. You got to be some level of excitement.
It's the first one of week one.
In honor of a couple of things, tonight's game, Mike Gundy, Zach picking Gundy's team, as I understand his bold prediction, will basically go undefeated, something like that. Yeah, something like that. I'm wearing the Oklahoma State colors tonight, the shirt that Mike Gundy gave me many years back. We'll cheer for the Fighting Gundys tonight. Why not? Backyard brawl, huge one. Go ahead, Zach.
I mean, the last time Central Michigan was there, it was one of the great officiating debacles of all time when Central Michigan got the ball for an untimed down they shouldn't have and then hit a Hail Mary to win the game. I think history does not repeat itself and Oklahoma State handles the Chippewas tonight.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to add except that I wholly agree, and I appreciate Scott being a name dropper.
Good job working the Chippewas in as well. I enjoyed that.
Thank you.
Backyard brawl. Anybody want to go further in depth on that one? It's a huge game. It's gonna be great fun.
Yeah. I think we've emptied the bag there.
All right, JB, I think you're all over Tennessee. We got Ball State coming to town. I had absolutely no idea this is the first time they played until I read Zach's 50 games for week one.
Yeah, and it's dark horse for sure, but there's some small chatter about Hendon Hooker potentially emerging as a Heisman candidate this year. I believe he led the SEC in quarterback rating or completion percentage a year ago, his first year in Josh Heupel's offense. He had actually committed to Jeremy Pruitt and company before that whole debacle, and then he stuck with Tennessee. Didn't even open the season as the Vols starter last year. Broke out, had a fantastic year, helped Tennessee exceed some expectations. Now everything that they hope and dream to achieve this year rests a lot on Hendon Hooker, who would have been a mid-round draft pick in all likelihood, but came back to Tennessee, is earning some nice NIL money, and has a chance to help Tennessee continue to try to course correct on the gridiron.
How many points did Tennessee score tonight?
52.
I 52-24 is my pick. 52-24.
Which I don't think would be a cover. I think they're maybe 33.5. So Zach's got Ball State covering. First big upset.
I think Ball State has some fight. I think Tennessee has some athletes. And I'm with you. Tennessee hangs 50-plus. All right, South Carolina State, UCF. Jeff Scott needs to find some traction. Hopefully he can get that going. Mike McIntyre. Next version up at FIU.
At FIU.
UCF's Gus Malzahn. We got to fix that. You mean Gus Malzahn needs to find?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking about South Florida. No.
Yeah,
Gus is doing just fine. I was thinking South Florida. I apologize. No, you're absolutely right. Gus is going to have no problems there.
Yeah. Shout out UCF with some sweet new all-black uniforms that they're debuting this week. And his name escapes me at the moment. I hate that. But the South Carolina State defensive coordinator is a guy we featured on Football Scoop a couple of different times. Big-time fan of his. Think he's got a really, really bright career coming ahead of him. And I'm going to Google his name now because of that.
Appreciate that. Jonathan Saxon.
Yep, that's my guy. He actually checked on me after my father passed this summer as well. So we never met in person. We've talked on the phone. Been impressed with what I've studied about him and talked with other coaches about him. So UCF will roll, but do not sleep on my guy Jonathan Saxon because he has a really bright career continuing to unfold right in front of us all.
I'll tell you, at Football Scoop, everybody knows that we kind of cover the coaching space, but I'm not sure that most people really understand that we know most of these guys. We have a lot of interactions with these guys, speak with them, text with them very frequently. In this day and age, a lot of them direct message. That's happening all day, every day. I'm on way too many group texts with coaches and group messages. Not too many. They're fantastic. But the reason why I share that is because people pile on coaches because of their public decisions or coaching decisions. Like, oh, he's a terrible D-line coach or whatever. But really what we get to experience and see is the human side of these guys. Most of these guys are absolutely wonderful people. Most of these guys are in it for the right reasons. And the right reasons being they want to help young men become the best version of themselves. They want to help them take care of their families long term. They want to help them have a wonderful, prosperous life, both in terms of dollars to some degree, but just becoming a great father, a great community member. And that's what they care about. That's what they love. And it's things like that. They reach out. You have something hard, challenging going in your life. They reach out and say, hey, how's it going?
Yep.
It's just an aspect of what we do.
Amen.
Enjoy it. All right, Mike McIntyre, Bryant.
Yeah, it's a game that's happening.
Agreed. Toledo, LIU, another game that's happening. I'm excited for that. VMI going to give Wake a little scare? I'm not so sure. Wake's pretty well coached.
Yeah, they are extremely well coached. Scotty Wackenheim, big fan of his, and my guy Patrick Ashford, the new first-year offensive coordinator for VMI. We're from the same hometown. When I was a waiter at one of the local pizza joints, I used to wait on Ashford and his family all the time. He was a young kid then. His mom and dad would come in all the time. So I will keep an eye on that game because Patrick Ashford's another guy whose career I'm very bullish on.
All right. Talk to me about Penn State Purdue.
Hugely excited.
I'm excited about this game.
Big time
I'm
excited for that.
Stupid excited.
Yeah, I am really, really legitimately. It's one of probably the 10 games I'm most excited about this weekend. We talked last week when I said I love the way the Big Ten staggers its schedule and gets some great matchups out there very early on. And you could even go with Nebraska Northwestern last weekend in terms of just being compelling theater. So Penn State had the terrible start to its season 2 years ago, bounced back with a great start last year before fizzling. Now here they are opening again on the road. It's a huge year for Purdue to try to carry over the momentum from the way it closed last season and beat Tennessee in the Music City Bowl. But Penn State is a program that has committed unprecedented resources to James Franklin and company. And the Nittany Lions have a tall task ahead of them. That's why they have to start with a win tonight, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on record. Purdue wins this game. Purdue's going to win.
I know. You are on record with that.
Yeah.
I picked the same. I think I don't know why, but James Franklin's programs, their quarterbacks don't thrive. They don't excel. They don't reach their standard. I don't have any idea why that is. Because James and his staff are extremely talented. I think Purdue shocks them. I'm not sure it's like a 3-point game. I think Purdue might stretch it out at the end. We'll see. It'll be fun to watch. Eastern Illinois, Northern Illinois. Northern Illinois had a good season. It started off, I think, beating Georgia Tech, and everybody's like, "Oh, wow, this game could be good." And I think they won 8 games. I don't specifically recall. Eastern, an interesting start for them, or is this just a football game?
No, I mean, this is seeing if Thomas Hammock can continue the momentum that he built a year ago. Last year was a big season for Northern Illinois. There's some chatter around that program going into the year, and Thomas Hammock and company silenced all of that with the season they had. Also, as I continue to be on uniform watch, the Huskies are wearing some absolutely sparkling throwback unis with the little Husky caricature on the side of the helmet. So as a uniform nerd, I'm also very fired up to just see some images from that game.
I think UAB gets their legs underneath them versus Alabama A&M. It'll be a football game. UAB gets it and moves on. Missouri hosts Louisiana Tech, which could be a highly entertaining football game.
Yeah, I mean, Sonny Cumbie's debut at Louisiana Tech. I visited Texas Tech this summer, got to tour their facilities. And one thing that touched me was that on one of the walls they painted a pump jack with PJM, and I was like, it rung a bell, but I was like, what is that? I was like, oh, that's pump jack mentality that Sonny, kind of installed when he took over for Matt Wells as the interim. And when Joey McGuire got there, the staff, they liked it, so they kept it. So Sonny, kept his mark on that program, and I'm excited to see him debut at La Tech. And then Mizzou, there's a great story in the local Columbia paper. His name escapes me, but the Mizzou has a running back that transferred from Truman State, was a stud high school running back, led D2 in rushing, and now might start for Missouri. I'm going to look his name up, but he's definitely a story to watch this early season.
High scoring game tonight, I think, in Columbia. As you guys alluded to, the onset of the Sonny Cumbie era for the Bulldogs and the onset of an absolutely critical year for Eli Drinkwitz atop the Tigers program. So some compelling storylines around that contest without question.
Cody Schrader, that's his name.
I don't think there's no bad blood or anything like that, but Blake Baker, new defense coordinator at Missouri, spent a good amount of time back at Louisiana Tech. Just a tie-in. We'll see how it goes. I think Missouri wins this game decently, by enough. Now, I said I don't think there's any bad blood in that one. In this next one, we got New Mexico State and Minnesota.
I didn't know this game was happening until this week, and I saw that. I was like, oh.
The Jerry Kill.
Yeah, I mean, looking it up I discovered. Jerry Kill has not been shy that he is not a fan of PJ Fleck. Like, he didn't like how he treated his staff. Obviously, Tracy Claeys took over, and then PJ took over for him. And I don't think he's a fan of PJ. And so the fact that this game is happening is definitely a nice treat for us impartials. Minnesota has a history of playing down to its competition in non-conference play. So I'm not going to pick New Mexico State to win, considering they're coming off that loss to Nevada. But I think New Mexico. I have no idea what the spread is, but I think New Mexico State covers.
I do not. I think the opposite. I think Minnesota rolls them. Personally.
Okay.
I will agree with Scott. I think Minnesota sent a very early message in this contest.
Jumping to Northern Arizona State, just because we're talking through all these games. Herm, I don't think is long for Arizona State personally. I'm
surprised he's still there.
Yeah, I was going to say, how many people had him coaching game one of the 2022 season? I mean, just with the way things have unfolded there at Arizona State, and we've already seen really some staffers kind of left on the sacrificing ground as a result of some of that. So I agree with you, Scott, but I do think that Arizona State gets this win. We've got the transfer quarterback whose name escapes me, but
on talent alone, they win the game theoretically. I don't know. I'm not a fan of what's happening there at all. Cal Poly, Fresno State wins the game. Cal Poly is always a challenging team to play. A very different scheme you see in most places. Football game.
Jeff Tedford back again after a 2-year hiatus.
Yep.
Yeah. Fun. San Jose State, late night capper. Portland State, interesting team as well. Football game. Honestly, that one could be highly entertaining. It's a late start for most people. East Coasters, that's a 10:30 I think.
Right in my wheelhouse.
I don't think it's on linear TV, so viewership will be low.
Oh, so is it on somewhere?
It's probably on Stadium or something like that.
Maybe you're right. It's not. We can check out Fresno on FS1, but unfortunately, the Fighting Brent Brennans are not on any sort of listed TV platform that I can ascertain at this point in time. But Brent Brennan has done some great things for that San Jose State program. Didn't do quite as well as they wanted to last year. Had the great 2020 fall season shortened by the pandemic. So curious to see what San Jose State does this year. But really like what Brent Brennan has done with that program for sure.
All right, so Thursday is going to be glorious. That's today. That's tonight. Whew. Wake up tomorrow and we get to do this again. Let's go, baby. So Friday lunch all over the country is going to be phenomenal. Every dude is taking his buddies to lunch and just talking ball, getting a couple in him, and he's ready to go for Friday night. We got high school football. Oh, by the way, I haven't even spoken with the Fighting Doug Samuels yet. He's playing tonight again. He's going 2-0, baby. All right, we got to talk about that another day, another time. Let's keep on college football. Let's turn the page to Friday. We start off Western Michigan, Michigan State.
You got Michigan State quarterback Peyton Thorne playing against Western Michigan offensive coordinator Jeff Thorne. Jeff led North Central to a D3 title. Now he's at Western Michigan coaching against his son. Going to be love to be inside his head when Western's defense is on the field.
Fascinating subplot. To me, the overriding theme is how does Michigan State build on the breakthrough success it had a year ago, especially after the loss of Kenneth Walker to the draft, but with the return of Peyton Thorne, who some people believe might be the second best quarterback in the Big Ten behind C.J. Stroud.
Fascinating intertwined lives with Tim Lester and Jeff Thorne. It's just an incredible story that I think we covered it when it happened. I think we broke the news. We shared the news. It's a lifelong relationship. It's really awesome, to be honest. I hope TV covers that well and does some good stuff amplifying that. That'll be a great one to start the night. Eastern Kentucky, Eastern Michigan. JB, give us an update there.
Yeah, so, I mean, on the surface a week ago, Eastern Kentucky folks felt like this was a great opportunity to send a message of their continued rebuild under third-year coach Walt Wells. Unfortunately, on Sunday morning, Walt had an extremely serious, extremely terrifying cardiac episode is how it's being termed. But he was rushed to University of Kentucky Medical Center, EKU, of course, in Richmond, Lexington, about 25 miles north of Richmond. Rushed to the UK Medical Center. They really had to perform a number of emergency treatments on Walt Wells to merely stabilize him. He spent most of this week in ICU. He was transitioned to a step-down room. He is continuing to improve. I'm told that he has felt well enough to want to know when he gets to get out of there and how he's going to watch his colonels. And so I think that's really, really encouraging signs for the big picture of things. In the short term, how does EKU respond to not having their head coach on the sidelines this Friday night in a game, again, that they were not daunted by? They felt it was a huge opportunity contest for them. Still some great coaches on that EKU staff, Jeremy Hawkins, Derek Day, a number of guys that will pick up the slack. But it's tough circumstances for EKU to open, trying to build on the dramatic turnaround they had to get to 7 wins last year in Walt Wells' second year.
You know, I think Walt is extremely well known within the coaching community. He's been doing it a long time. I really feel like, I know we know him. A lot of guys know him. And when family asks for some privacy, we certainly don't want to overshare, but very, very glad that things are trending in the right direction for him. And, life is long, hopefully. So don't rush back, young man. Hang in there, get right, step back in at the right time, and do what your doctors advise you. I'm praying for you, buddy. All right, moving on and wishing things go well there. Virginia Tech, Old Dominion. We talked about this the other day on the last pod we did. I'm excited about this game. I think this game has real potential. I think Virginia Tech wins. Interested to see what Ricky Ronnie does with that offense, with the little weird change within the past month. Any other thoughts on this one?
I think Virginia Tech wins convincingly. I know you're excited for this game. I think Old Dominion, with the upheaval of losing its offensive coordinator 3 weeks ago and in what continues to be an extremely mysterious situation, to say the least, is obviously less than ideal. I think Brent Price, so fundamentally sound, put together such a good staff. I think you'll see a Virginia Tech team that in recent years didn't always handle these types of contests the appropriate way, which is why Justin Fuente is no longer there. I think you'll see Brent Pry and company stamp the arrival of a new era in Blacksburg, even though they're not in Blacksburg.
Well, yeah, the last time, the only time Virginia Tech went to played at Old Dominion, Old Dominion won in 2018. Their only trip there. Obviously, as you guys said, it's tough to pick Old Dominion considering their offensive coordinator upheaval in fall camp. So
Charlotte looks to get on the board versus William & Mary. They should take care of that just on talent alone. Temple Duke, Stan Drayton, Mike Elko, welcome to head coaching world. Let's see what you got, fellas. Should be fun, honestly.
Yeah. Two guys that spent like a combined close to a decade at UT and A&M, never had to go to Temple and Duke to coach against each other.
Yep, I'm excited for this game because of the first-year staffs involved to see how each puts its stamp on that program. You know, I think that and we all covered it very closely. I think there was a point in time last November going into early December where Duke really felt like it had an inside track to hire Marcus Freeman as its next head coach. And then the dominoes obviously shifted another way, but Mike Elko was one of those guys right there in the waiting. Again, we called it the year of the defensive coordinator. I won't back off of that. Another great defensive coordinator getting his crack at being a head coach. Stan Drayton, big-time veteran of some major programs, Texas, Ohio State, Florida, Tennessee. The guy's been at some of the biggest programs in all of college football. How does he put his stamp on the Temple program? Love the staff that Drayton has assembled for the Owls.
Tennessee Tech's at Kansas. I think we're all fans of Lance Leipold in his winning attitude, his winning approach, wants to do things the right way, believes he can build it at Kansas. I think the whole country would cheer for him if he can get it going. The whole country would be excited to see Kansas beat somebody other than Texas. Not that there's anything wrong with beating Texas. We all enjoy that. But it would be fun to see them get some other wins. So hopefully that, they start building upon that right tonight.
I think they absolutely throttled Tennessee Tech. I'll be honest with you.
They need to win this one because the schedule gets steep quick after this for the Jayhawks. And for the record, they don't play Texas until November 19th, so it'll get easy then.
That will be when Texas is about to secure a berth in the Big 12 championship, according to some.
That's right.
Illinois, Indiana. Let's battle. Let's have this be awesome. Let's have this be a barnstorming. Let's go, baby! Friday night football. Can it happen?
Here's what I love about this is that it's not really hard to picture either head coach having been a head coach in the 1980s. You absolutely could have seen Tom Allen and Brett Bielema both be college head coaches in the 1980s. That's their demeanor. That's their style. That's the way they approach the game. That's the way they approach preparing their teams. I'm not saying we wanted to see Brett Bielema in some of those tight bike shorts that used to be all the rage for coaches, but this to me is a throwback Big Ten game. It's a huge game for Tom Allen and the Hoosiers. They massively overachieved in 2010. They massively underachieved in 2021. Where do they go from here? This is a pivotal year for Indiana. They lost Dylan McCullough, their star assistant coach, to Notre Dame. They made a change at offensive coordinator. Big year for the Hoosiers.
I'm excited about that one. I think it's going to be great, and I agree with you. I think both are well-respected coaches for different reasons, perhaps, different styles, very, very, very different styles. Both very likable. Some would say they're both easy to cheer against. I don't know if that's true or not, but anyway, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited to see what's happening. All right, TCU, Colorado, big nightcap. Could be a lot of points. Not sure there will be. There's potential. We'll see how it goes. Zach, give me some thoughts.
Yeah, I'll start my Friday night at Denton Geyer, the biggest game in Texas high school football, and then I'll end it watching this one. TCU could play three quarterbacks in this game. They've got the incumbent, Max Duggan, who feels like he's been there forever. Every time I watch Max Duggan, I think this dude's pretty good. Like, he's got a lot of tools, but he just hasn't really won everyone over at TCU. Chandler Morris, Chad Sutton, the Oklahoma transfer, is probably the best fit for that offense. But then you've also got the redshirt freshman Sam Jackson, who's not a big dude, 5'11", 185. Sonny Dykes is spoke glowingly of him in fall camp. So I hope he gets to play because I think he can bring a different dynamic to Garrett Riley's version of the air raid. And so it'll be interesting to see which one of those three guys really takes the Horned Frogs by the horns.
Carl Dorrell, there's some questions about Carl Dorrell's team. He made a change. Offensive coordinator brought in Mike Sanford. Mike's going to have the opportunity to call Mike Sanford's offense for the first time in a little bit. He's pretty excited about that. I know the team, the staff feels like this team's ready to roll. I think they feel very good about how they come out of the blocks the first couple of games. Hopefully that's the case. If it's not, okay. So hopefully I'm hoping this is a battle to the end. I think it'd be fantastic for college football. You want to see Colorado good again.
Yeah.
Let's go Saturday, boys. And we're going to stop at Saturday. We're 30 minutes in. Kind of becoming a long pod for us. Let's run through Saturday. Sunday, we're going to hold off because we're going to pod with some Sunday morning reactions, talk about some big games Sunday and even college football Monday, which is fantastic. Let's go. A&M, Sam Houston, first game on my slate. I think Sam gives them a lot. Come on.
No. They don't have the horses. They don't even have the ponies to run with A&M. Interesting to see Haynes King. He very, very short season, put up some he's got great ability, but it hasn't really shown it, had the opportunity to show it. So interested to see him, interested to see if Jimbo opens up the offense with Haynes at quarterback.
Yeah, and I was dialed into the SEC teleconference midweek. Jimbo Fisher was asked not only about Haynes King, but some question marks along the Aggies' offensive line. Apparently, there's the potential that Texas A&M could play two different centers in this game. I don't think we see that very often. Fisher wouldn't commit one way or the other, but he did not shut the door on that possibility. I think that's interesting. But overall, A&M has probably bridged the physical stature gap in the SEC between Alabama and Georgia versus most everybody else, the absolute best. I think this is the year that A&M shows it the most on its offensive and defensive lines. Just too physically overwhelming in this game.
For those who don't know the three of us personally, I think it's fair to say, and I'll probably bring this back up throughout the course of the year, I'm more of the dreamer, the believer. Zach and JB are just more analytically correct. So I'm going to tell you, usually listen to them. That's why I introduce them as college football experts. This is what these guys do for a living. I'm pulling for people. Anyways, moving on. Colorado State is at Michigan. Colorado State's going to be a better coach team. I don't think it's a particularly great matchup for them. I'll leave it at that. I'm fascinated by Harbaugh, his quarterback plan. Won 1 week, won the second week. See how that plays out for his team in the long run. But give me some thoughts, guys.
It's biblical. You can't question a biblical quarterback plan. Not my words. So I think Michigan routs Colorado State, although I do think right now, early in the season, Michigan is a bit overrated in my opinion. Maybe given a little too much credit for what they did last year compared to what they lost off of that team last year. But physically, again, I think this is where Michigan really wins this contest in the trenches.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for the Jay Norvell era. Obviously, a tough start, but leaving one Mountain West school for another is not a move you see often. So be interested to see if he can, in the long run, get Colorado State up to that upper tier of the Mountain West where they haven't really been in a long time.
So in the interest of time, I'm going to touch on a couple and move on. NC State needs to handle their business. NC State needs to be a top 10 program one of these years.
The most NC State thing of all time would be to start a season with ACC championship aspirations and then lose to East Carolina in week 1.
Although it would not impact their ACC title aspirations. But you're exactly right. And it will be an insane atmosphere, and it's also the Ruffin McNeil homecoming game, so to speak. So now that he's a special advisor for Dave Doran. So some interesting subplots there, but we must move onward on the schedule.
UConn played better than I think most people thought. Utah State, they appeared well coached. I saw them talking about that was kind of a win for the program. Like, no, you got to get wins. They're going to get a win this week, and I'm excited to see that for them. That's good. Iowa has South Dakota State. This has potential to be
I'm excited for this game, and I fully expect it to be a second half game. I really do. And again, I'm going to beat the drum. I think a year ago I called that South Dakota State would go into Colorado State and get that win. They absolutely did, and they punished the Rams and really set about the end of that era. And so I'm not saying that's going to happen here, but I fully expect this to be a great college football game into the second half.
I hope you're right. I think there's great potential for that. Buffalo's at Maryland. Any thoughts?
Two really charismatic coaches that I enjoy watching work. Mo Linguist has seen Buffalo commit a lot to him. Mike Locksley has engineered a very quick turnaround at Maryland. Can that continue after they went bowling a year ago? They've obviously still got Talia Tagovailoa pulling the trigger on offense. So yeah, this is an important year 2 or so, year 3 for Mo Linguist. Year 2, it's an important try to sustain momentum for Mike Locksley.
Rutgers at BC.
Love when the Big East starts with a conference game to open the year. Good scheduling by them.
Very nice of you. North Carolina goes to
Jeff Hafley. That's just real quickly on that game. Jeff Hafley is a coaching stud. I think he'll have a chance to be an NFL head coach. So pay attention to the Eagles this year. Plus, they've got Phil Yarkovic, the former Notre Dame quarterback, the much ballyhooed signee who transferred out of Notre Dame when Ian Book was the starting quarterback. But watch the Eagles. They could be a national surprise team this year. I'm
picking App State to beat North Carolina. I would have great conviction in that selection if this game were late at night. Late night in Boone, it gets awesome. It gets saucy, let's just say. An early morning game, we'll see. I'm picking App, and we'll see what happens.
I mean, you got App's quarterback is Chase Brice. The Clemson transfers like his 6th year in college. You got Drake May, redshirt freshman, making his first real start. Obviously, they played Florida A&M last week. First real game on the road. I might switch my pick.
I've got the Heels. I've got the Tar Heels. And really, kickoff time is a huge factor. But North Carolina disappointed a lot last year. This is a key year for Mac Brown and company. Drake May had a scintillating debut, even against a almost criminally undermanned Florida A&M team last week that played really, really gallantly and deserves a lot of credit for the Rattlers players that stuck in there and played.
The reason why everyone should be following Zach Barnett and John Brice on Twitter is because the depth of knowledge. They're doing this stuff off the cuff. Y'all are sick. I love you both. With that said, we're almost 40 minutes into this pod.
Yeah, we got
to roll. Navy's got Delaware. Navy needs to become Navy again. Navy had a challenging behind-the-scenes year. Really, honestly, the last 2 years. They need to get it right, or else not sure where that one's going. Richmond versus Virginia. Tony Elliott has a shot this first game. Richmond ain't going to be fun to play, to be honest. But that's the type of game Virginia's got to win by a couple touchdowns.
Yeah.
Hopefully they do.
Big year for the Richmond staff. Billy Kosh, the new offensive coordinator, came over from VMI. Be interesting to see his imprint on that. But a key year for that Richmond staff where it's year 1 in building for Tony Elliott and company.
Yeah. Northern Iowa is going to give Air Force more than they want. Should be a good football game, to be honest. SEMO at Iowa State. SEMO does not have the horses. Matt Campbell. Let's see what this year looks like. Let's go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bowling Green, UCLA.
I have UCLA making the Pac-12 championship game. So I think they should roll over the Falcons.
I might occasionally dabble in some competitive balance picks, and I've got UCLA winning big in this one.
All right, Oregon, Georgia.
Excited.
Mercedes, whatever we call where the Dirty Birds play as well. What are we calling that place these days? Mercedes-Benz?
Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Yeah, but is there some better name?
I think it's just Mercedes Field.
Not that we can say in a family podcast.
The place where the Saints beat the Falcons. That's all I know it is. Going on. Moving on.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay.
But a great game.
Georgia, Oregon, great game.
Coordinator.
Yeah, obviously Georgia's a huge favorite, but I'm really excited to see if Dan Lanning, I mean, he's going to have the most intimate knowledge of an opponent that any head coach could possibly have. So I'm interested to see if he could hit some jabs and uppercuts that Georgia might not see coming.
Brent Venables' debut. Got UTEP at home in Norman.
Yeah, my only thought of this game is I saw a video of Brent Venables running stadium steps at Memorial Stadium, and it's the most Brent Venables thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, Brent Venables might have made the single best offensive coordinator hire in the last cycle, and Jeff Lebby, big time Jeff Lebby, future head coach. And the people I talked to that have been around that program a good bit since Venables took over just talk about the juice and the passion that they see out of him and how much it's trickling through the program. Nobody's calling him the next Lincoln Riley or anything like that, but I think there's some real energy around that program, and the Oklahoma players that stayed and stuck through this are ticked off, and I think they send an immediate message.
Agreed. Mario gets Bethune-Cookman. Good way from Miami to get their feet wet. Moving on. Cincinnati, Arkansas. I love this football game. I think it's going to be great fun. I think Arkansas battles through and gets a win at home. I like Sam Pittman. I like what he's doing. I love his staff. So I like the Hogs. We'll see how it plays out.
I like it to be a 4-quarter, last 5-minute type game. I think Cincinnati,
Absolutely.
obviously, they lost a ton, but this team's 44-7 over the last 4 years. So you don't do that just on the strength of one player, two player, five players. That's a program thing. So I think they give it a valiant effort.
I think they give it a valiant effort. I think they're incredibly well coached. I think that the Arkansas fans will be calling the Hogs from breakfast Saturday morning all the way up until kickoff mid-afternoon. And I think that Arkansas wins this game, by 10 plus. I really do. I loved Zach wrote about it. He beat me to the punch this week to write about Sam Pittman saying some people bring sweet tea to the party and some people bring liquor. He followed up on that Wednesday on the SEC teleconference when asked about it and said, well, what I mean there is you don't exactly know what people are going to bring or throw at you. And he said, we played somebody and they were cover zero the whole game. They were bringing moonshine. And so I love that. Then he was asked what he likes to have to celebrate. And he goes, well, I like sweet tea, but I'll take some brown water. And Scott, as a fellow brown water aficionado, that absolutely resonated. So
I was about to say, I'm not a guy who brings sweet tea, just letting you know.
Yeah, I don't know if that'll be maybe some E.H. Taylor single barrel for him or what it will be, but I think Sam Pittman will have reason to have a sip of brown water Saturday night.
UTSA Houston has massive potential. I mean, it's a season changer, perhaps, for both teams. I think it's a battle. I think I'm picking UTSA in a squeaker, but it would be a lot of Hogo going nuts. Just excites me. It's just fun to watch. If I can make that like my screensaver on my TV, I might try and do that. Zach, what do you got?
Yeah, these two teams combined to win 24 games last year, which I believe is tied for the most of any Week 1 game. They're both picked to win their respective conferences, which I believe is probably the only such game. So pound for pound, this is the biggest game of the weekend. I mean, obviously it's not, but pound for pound it is. And so, most people are going with Houston. I'm picking Houston, but the Frank Harris, Jeff Traylor combo has me scared. I don't know what the spread is, but I wouldn't bet on this game because I could see anything happening.
I think it's between like 4.5 and 6.5 points. It's a really narrow.
That's too much.
I'd take the points. Yeah, I like UTSA straight up personally. But again, I'm a dreamer. I'm a believer. Arizona, San Diego State. Let's see the game be played and move on. North Dakota, I think, has a shot to wreck Nebraska. And I don't mean wreck them like hang 80 on them. I mean, you got a chance to beat them. If they do it, it collapses Nebraska's confidence.
Yeah, I can't decide if playing this weekend is the best possible thing in Nebraska or the worst, but it's one of the two.
I think it's best.
You got to.
Yeah. Okay. You can't have and
they need to win.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Marshall's playing Norfolk. Good. Marshall needs to just win the game and move on. Wyoming did not look great last week. They got Tulsa. Be a fun football game, probably.
Yeah. Tulsa maybe a touchdown underdog. I would not at all be surprised for Tulsa to get a win in that contest on the road. The way that Wyoming looked last weekend, really, really brutal play at the quarterback position. And he's done some good things there, but this is a huge year for Craig Bohl.
Yeah, I agree with you on that side. On the other side, I think Philip Montgomery is a exceptionally good football coach. I mean, he's proven he's a great football coach. I'm just waiting for one of his teams to show that, and I hope that happens very soon for him. Troy, John Summerall era opens at Ole Miss. Not an easy open.
No, John
Summerall is beloved at Ole Miss too. I mean, they did a great job there. So it's an interesting open. It's a tough open. It should be a fun football game.
Yeah, his team won't be daunted. Deep SEC ties for John Summerall. I like seeing what he's doing at Troy.
Oh yeah, he's going to get them to a great place. Tough opener. BYU South Florida. This is where I mentioned Jeff Scott earlier. Jeff needs to find some traction. BYU ain't gonna be an easy place to find traction.
No, BYU's 21-4 for the last 2 years.
And they've and right before that, I guess in 19 they won in Neyland Stadium. They've had some other huge wins. Again, one of the most physical teams in college football. I think BYU really rolls.
UC Davis Cal is a football game. Nichols, South Alabama is a football game. Actually, it should be a very good football game. Texas State, Nevada. Texas State needs to be better.
This could be a big year for Jake Spavital.
Agreed. A lot of eyes on him as well. Rice SC, good opener for SC, honestly. I'm not sure this is the week to talk about USC in depth. Georgia Southern, Morgan State, a football game. Clay Helton.
Kicking off at the same time USC kicks off.
Noted. FAU should be strong against Ohio. Ohio's trying to change the trajectory a little bit after a weird year, a transition year last year. Tim Albin. So see how it goes. MTSU James Madison.
Noteworthy in that it's James Madison's first game stepping up to the FBS level. So very compelling. Signetti's done a great job there. Stockstill had a bit of a rebound year last year for the Blue Raiders. So compelling storylines in that game, but it's the next game we're about to talk about that I absolutely cannot wait.
Let's go. Utah, Florida. I think it's huge. I think Utah – I don't even know what the line is. I presume Utah's favored. I think Florida gets the win. Again, I'm a dreamer. I'm a believer. I really like Kyle Whittingham. I think he is an exceptional coach, great program. I just think there's something about going into the swamp at night. Billy Napier's squad is going to be amped up. Your returning QBs help. I'm picking Napier's team to just sneak it out.
Yeah,
I've got great theater.
Yeah, I've got Florida winning. As you guys know, I've been teasing that pick since last Thursday. The swamp is going to be sold out, and it's just going to be a completely different atmosphere than what we saw for any game there in 20 because of COVID, and at any point last year because the disenfranchisement with Dan Mullen set in very, very early in that season. I think it will probably be the best atmosphere in the swamp maybe since Urban Meyer was the head coach. I think that Billy Napier has pushed all the right buttons. I think he's been masterful in a lot of the things he's done already for the University of Florida. And we know, based on that team photo, that he's got a hell of a lot of help with the size of that staff the Gators have. So I like the Gators because of home field, energy, the heat, any number of things. Great game, but I am picking Florida and do believe that Florida will win.
I guess I'm the only one here picking Utah, but I think Utah wins. As I said earlier, a must-win game for Utah. If you bake in a Pac-12 loss at some point, which no Pac-12 team has ever gone 10-0 in conference, then they're not getting in with 2 losses. They've got to win this game.
Gentlemen, we're pushing up on an hour. Let's rock. Baylor's going to handle Albany. Wisconsin's going to handle Illinois State. Kentucky's got Miami of Ohio. Kentucky should handle.
Should absolutely. Chuck Martin's done a nice job at Miami. Kentucky has a unspecified number of key players out for unspecified reasons. So that's something to monitor this weekend and moving forward as the Wildcats in football really deal with expectations for arguably the first time in a really long time.
Yeah, and there's programs nationwide where you could say the same thing. They're going to have an unspecified number of players sitting out for an unspecified amount of time due to summer or August violations of some kind. I don't think, yeah. Anyway, that's just reality. Auburn's got Mercer. Auburn has to handle Mercer and move on. Mercer played well last week, but Auburn's got to handle them and move on. Vanderbilt, Elon, again, Vandy closed strong in Hawaii. Again, you want to see the same thing. It's a football game. Moving on. Kansas State, South Dakota. South Dakota is better than you think, but Kansas State should also be better than you think. Any thoughts there?
Nope.
Moving on. Coastal Army.
Love this matchup.
Due to the style, I'm going with Army because I don't think Coastal wants any of that. But we'll see. I could be totally wrong. I'm just going style pick only.
Put Army on a plane right now and let's play this game tonight because opposite Utah, Florida, and Notre Dame, Ohio State, it's not going to get the attention it deserves. Find a way to play this game tonight or tomorrow night because this is a beautiful game.
Yeah, I think Coastal defensively is ready. A lot of that staff has some ties to the Southern Conference, and I think that helps them prepare for that Army option attack. Some great coaches on both sides of the ball, but I like Coastal in this contest.
Liberty goes down to Southern Miss. I still don't think Southern Miss is ready, but we'll see. I don't know that Liberty is as Liberty as they were the past couple of seasons with the change, but any thoughts on that one real fast?
Nope.
Okay, good stuff. Tulane needs to beat UMass. They should beat UMass down in New Orleans. Should be good. Louisiana Lafayette's got Southeastern Louisiana. Again, the game that Louisiana Lafayette just needs to handle. Mike DeZormo, first game's head coach. Hopefully that all goes well. Butch Jones, Arkansas State hosting Grambling. Butch needs to handle business and move on. Alabama has Utah State coming to town. Alabama needs to be Alabama and just handle the game. I suspect they will. Utah State did not look great last week. They got the win.
Yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs, the start of his Heisman campaign begins Saturday if Utah State defends the run like they did against UConn. He might go for 400 yards.
All right, the big one, as if there aren't a bunch of big ones. The big one, Notre Dame is at Ohio State Saturday night. I am so fired up. My wife is going to scream at me for screaming too much. John Brice, give me some thoughts on this one.
Huge matchup, an unbelievable matchup. They haven't faced each other a ton through the years, regular season or otherwise. Ohio State 17.5-point favorites. I think that's too much. I think that there's a quiet belief for sure around the Notre Dame program, and I fully expect it to be a coin flip contest going into the fourth quarter. I do hear that tons of stars are going to be in Columbus this weekend. I'm not talking about myself. Allegedly, LeBron James, according to some friends, will be there in the Horseshoe Saturday night, maybe even Adele and some other people. So electric atmosphere, going to be a really compelling game. Ohio State looks to be the clear number 2 team in college football. Notre Dame is recruiting like the number 2 team in college football right now. So great contest. I'm excited. Notre Dame has to stop the Ohio State run, and Notre Dame has to establish its own run. To me, that's the whole key. But I'll be there in the shoe Saturday night. I'm looking forward to it.
I don't know where else you can find a man wearing a Dirty Bird shirt who references Adele on a college football podcast and is actually credible. But in this case, John Brice just accomplished all that. It's fascinating to me.
Yeah, I would have had Scott send me to this game if I had known Adele was going to be there.
Well, I don't think she's performing.
One note on this game. So Ohio State is 2-5 at home against non-Big Ten Power 5 non-conference opponents since September 10th, 2005, which was the same day that Notre Dame last beat an AP top 3 team away from Notre Dame Stadium. So some sort of curse was applied that day that whoever wins will break their own curse here.
I'm trying, guys. I'm trying to hold it together. I'm going to move us on. Memphis, Mississippi State. Mississippi State should win this game. It's going to be fun. You know it's going to be weird. Mike Leach is just so much fun to watch. I think Mississippi State wins the game by enough. But you never know. Georgia State at South Carolina. Georgia State does not have the horses to hang in there with an SEC program, add an SEC program. But we'll see. The game's played Saturday night. SMU North Texas. Zach, give me short thoughts on this one.
Austin Audie was encouraging play with the win at UTEP. Obviously, SMU is like 34-6 lifetime against North Texas, but UNT is 4-2 in the last 6 in Denton. Rhett Lashley's debut at SMU. I've got a personal connection to Rhett Lashley, a story I'll share when we're not 55 minutes deep into a podcast sometime.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Stanford needs to become Stanford of 5, 6, 7 years ago. Their first game is Colgate. Moving on. Murray State at Texas Tech. It's a W for Texas Tech. Look good. Move on. Texas has Monroe. Can we say the same thing?
Yes.
Of course we can say the same thing. I know. Moving on. Louisville, Syracuse up in the Carrier Dome.
Huge game for both.
Scott Satterfield has to win this game. I'm not sure what's happening with Dino Babers' program, to be completely honest. Maybe they'll shock me and handle Louisville. I don't expect that to happen, but we'll see.
Yeah. Both teams need to win this game because they don't need to lose to the other team.
Both of these head coaches somehow need a win the same way that Scott Frost did last weekend. We saw how that happened. We know that after this game is over, one of those coaches is going to feel very, very similarly to Scott Frost.
Maine, New Mexico is a football game being played. Idaho at Washington State. Hopefully this one's exciting. The staffs know each other. It could be an entertaining game. I don't know enough about it, to be honest, but it could be an entertaining game.
To ask a question, please use the raise hand function. I'll call on you and allow you to talk at that time. Questions are limited to one question.
Shout out Jason Eck.
Moving on. Boise State, Oregon State, I think will be an electric environment at Oregon State. Beavers are going to come out to play. I like Oregon State to win the game. I think it's going to be highly entertaining. I think there will be points scored. Great fun. If you're going to stay up late, that's the one. I think that's better than Western Kentucky, Hawaii, just for fireworks. Any thoughts on that one, gentlemen?
I do have thoughts on that one. It's going to be a sold-out Reser Stadium, but that means 26,000 fans, and that's it, because Oregon State is doing massive stadium renovations. Nonetheless, I really like the trajectory of the Oregon State program right now, and I think the Beavers get the win as well. And if they get up early, I think they could win this game, much like Arkansas, by double digits.
Wow. I think Boise wins.
Ooh, okay. Kent State is traveling to Washington. Washington should win the game on talent. Kalen DeBoer is a very good football coach. Interested to see what they look like under him. I don't know. I'm excited to see it. Kent State is going to try and shock them. They're not there. This isn't a rent-a-win in their world. They're there to shock them. They're going to give everything they got. I just don't think they have enough forces. We'll see. Yeah. West Kentucky, Hawaii finishes the night out. Hopefully, Hawaii has more in the tank than they had against Vanderbilt. Western Kentucky, it has potential to be exciting and fun.
Yeah, I think so. I think it'll be high scoring. I think Hawaii will show much better than it did a week ago, and Western Kentucky struggled with Austin Peay a week ago. So,
if we weren't an hour into this one, I would expand on what I'm about to say. But we just went through FBS games. There are some outstanding FCS games all day Saturday. Some even tonight, I think. So I would encourage the whole country embrace FCS football as well, and other divisions. But there's some great ball played at the FCS level.
Yep, I just want to say shout out to my guy George Quarles, the ETSU head coach. We've been friends 20-plus years. For most of those years, I've said he would be a collegiate head coach. He took a very deliberate path. Furman's offensive coordinator the previous 5 years. He was on Furman's national title team. Now he's running his own program at ETSU. Fired up for him, fired up to see what the Bucks do under George Quarles.
It is game day, fellas. Y'all enjoy yourselves. Watch this stuff. Appreciate everybody joining us. FootballScoop Podcast. Like, share, subscribe. Do all those fun things. Enjoy college football this weekend. We'll be back Sunday morning with a little reaction from all the games. There will be upsets. There will be mayhem. There will be shenanigans. And it will be awesome. God bless everybody.